Coming up next, I'll give you 6 signs that mean you might be about to get laid off. We'll go through 3 questions that'll help you make a decision. We'll take your calls and your chats, and it all starts right now. Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville. You're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. It's all about you, because you were created to fill a unique role. That means you're needed, and that means you must do it. Somebody out there needs you to be you, and that hasn't changed. That has not changed at all. Now, we're going to always talk straight, give you some practical knowledge, and with that knowledge, give you a game plan, what you need to do, and we're going to cheer you on along the way. So if you're watching the show today in the chat room there, hey, fire your questions right now. We'll get to them a little bit later. They'll send them right here to my computer, and we'll get to as many as we can. Also, if you're enjoying the show, give us a thumbs up right there below the video window, and share it and subscribe. That'll help us tremendously. All right, let's get to the stuff you come for. 6 signs you're about to get laid off. This has never been more of a scary issue than now. U.S. News and World Report put out this article. Going to touch on these things real quick and then add a couple things to it. Here we go. What to look for. Signs that maybe you're going to get laid off. Number 1, your company is hiring outside consultants. Number 2, you've been asked to fill out a questionnaire. Number 3, your company is experiencing a lot of financial loss. 4, you're no longer in the loop. 5, your manager isn't communicating with you. Those seem to be related, don't you think? An emergency all-employee meeting has been scheduled. And I'm not laughing because this is funny. It's just the idea that we need to write that one down. I think we all know. That's kind of like when you were in high school or college, or I guess in adulthood. I got married at 23, Joe, so I have no relationship context beyond the early 20s. But I remember, the few times it happened, we need to talk. That, you know what I'm talking about? Nathan, you're smiling. You've heard that before, right? Or you've done it. You're in the relationship. Hey, you got the cryptic phone call. Hey, we need to talk. And here's what happens when you hear that. And hey, we've got an emergency all-employee meeting. Immediately, it's the same feeling, right? Your heart drops into your stomach. Oh, no. Anyway, trying to have a little humor in this time. All right, now, I want to add one thing to this list. I think it's a good list, and I think you probably could come up with more. But I share that with you because I think it's value for you to be paying attention, looking for the signs. Okay? But 2 things I want to say. You need to be communicating to your leader. One of the things they laid out in this U.S. News and World Report article was your manager isn't communicating with you, and you're no longer in the loop. That shouldn't sneak up on you. I mean, the minute you begin to feel that is a reality, you need to communicate to your manager. In other words, don't wait to kind of get stuck in not knowing anything. I would be communicating on a regular basis. These leaders are dealing with crisis as well. So even if they don't tell you something, you can feel something. You can pick up on this. So be assertive, not obnoxious, but be assertive in keeping those lines of communication open. It could give you some real clues. Now, to that point, let me go ahead of some of the signs. So what are we doing now despite the signs that we just talked about? You need to have a backup plan. You need to have a backup plan. So are you loyal to your current company? Yes. Are you showing up, whether it's in your home or in the office, doing a good job? Yes. But are you having an eye open to what would happen? What would I do if I get furloughed or laid off? Right now, it pays to be prepared. And so have that mindset of, I'm going to keep doing a great job, but my leaders may not be able to control it. This is not a normal economic situation. So good stuff there from U.S. News and World Report. Be paying attention for signs, but also be building a backup plan. 844-747-2577 is the number, 844-747-2577. Before we get to the phones today, Joe, the producer, prints out some of these fun things from Catherine, the social media maven. And just these are fun. I love to share these from time to time. Ryan Gardner, these are people that reach out to me on social media and they report good news. And so I think you'd like to hear some good news. Ryan Gardner said, "You can do this, people!" Exclamation point. It worked for me. Well, I'm not in my dream job. I am employed at a job that will help me get there eventually. Thanks, Coach Ken, for helping me win. Joe, I got to tell you, I've been waiting a long time to hear somebody call me Coach Ken. I love that. I love it. I absolutely feel like a big part of what I am supposed to do for you folks is coach you. So I love the Coach Ken thing. That's fun. Maybe I'll wear a whistle on Monday just to freak you out. You and Nathan both. What would he do if he blew that whistle in the microphone? Nathan, you would not be happy. Okay, he would cut my mic off. Joe would too. So I've got to behave myself. I like to have fun with these guys, like the what ifs. What if I wore a whistle and I blew a whistle in the middle of a phone call to stop the caller? I think everybody would stop watching the show as well. So we'd have bigger problems than the microphone. So rest assured, I'm not going to do that. One more here, and then we'll get to the phones. Bianca writes in, I took your advice, Ken, and I put my true intentions on the why I fit on your team section of my resume. I landed an interview in spite of my resume being intimidating and got to explain my intentions. Today, I got my in the meantime job. And who knows, I might love it so much that it becomes my all-time job. Thank you. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Ryan, for reaching out and sharing those stories. Let me tell you something, folks. You can still win right now. You can still make progress. And to that end, love for you to connect with me on social media. The easy way, if you can't remember it, can't write it down right now, is just go to kencoleman.com and right there on the site are all the social media connections. On Instagram, I'm at Ken Coleman. On Facebook, just search The Ken Coleman Show. On Twitter, at Ken Coleman. We're also on LinkedIn and, of course, here on YouTube. So love to connect with you there. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. Let's go to Brandi, who is on the line in Abilene, Texas. Brandi, you're on The Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. I'm excited to talk with you.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. What is going on?
Well, my question is, would you recommend somebody pursuing starting a business kind of in the first stages of figuring out what it is that they're created to do? Okay. So a little bit more background. I have kind of dipped my toes into starting a virtual bookkeeping business.
Oh, what?
Actually,
I'm sorry. What kind of business?
It's a virtual bookkeeping business.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
No worries. And I actually already have one paying client. Mm-hmm. And I'm convinced that I want to work for myself. Mm-hmm. I'm convinced that I'd like to get, kind of out of employment altogether, employment of somebody else, and do self-employment. And I'm convinced that I could do well enough at this business that I enjoy the work. I'm interested in it. I'm good at it. I have experience in it. Mm-hmm. What I am not convinced of is that is my so-called passion, if that makes sense.
Well, do you think
I get fired up? I'm sorry?
No, keep going.
I get fired up about it, and being able to kind of help people manage their books, small businesses manage their bookkeeping needs and provide clarity and just organization and that kind of thing. I'm a numbers person. To a point, but I don't know that it's my jam, so to speak.
All right, so let's pause. Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to drive this point home that you just made. I think you're overanalyzing the situation, and I'm just curious, before I break down what you said, do you find yourself being a person who overanalyzes a lot? You can really get into overthinking something?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because that's what you just did. So let me repeat to you what you said, okay? You said, Ken, I'm convinced. What a great word. I don't hear that on calls very often. In fact, I don't know that I've ever had a caller call in and say what you just said. And you said convinced about 3 to 6 times, I think, if I were to go back and listen to it. But here's what you said. You said, I'm convinced I want to work for myself. And I'm convinced I really love this business of bookkeeping. And then after you made those statements, you said, but I'm just not sure it's truly my passion. And then I started to interrupt you and I let you keep going. And then you rolled on some more and you said, I just really love, and I'm not going to say word for word what you said, but you described the work itself, getting in the numbers, and getting clarity and taking some confusion and kind of looking at patterns and kind of doing that whole thing that you do. And then you talked, and so that's the work you love. So I teach the 3 indicators. You use what you do best, that's talent. To do what you love, that's the work that creates high emotion and devotion. And you said it does. And then the third indicator is, does your work produce a result that matters deeply to you? Results that matter. And when you were describing what you do for the customer, you said, and then it just creates peace for them, and it creates confidence for them and clarity for them. And you went on to say several things just really quick. And yet here you are questioning whether or not it's work that you're passionate about. And I think you're overthinking it, because the answer is unequivocally yes, it's work that you're passionate about, and it creates a result that matters deeply to you. But it doesn't mean that when you look at it and you go, well, I'm just a bookkeeper, that doesn't sound very exciting and scintillating. I think that's what your brain is doing. Is that true or false?
I agree that it is true to an extent. I think the other part that I battle is there's a decided kind of creative side to me.
Great.
That I also get really fired up about, and,
awesome.
and that kind of thing. And so
what is
I think that's where I get.
No, that's what's happening. What is the creative side? Tell me what you would do to make some money, or what would be, even if it's hobby or professional level creativity. What would that look like? What would you do for yourself? Because I think you're definitely the person who wants to work for yourself. So what creativity, what would you charge? What would you be creating in the marketplace?
That's what's a little more unclear. I've had a photography business kind of in the past, and I think what I learned about myself is I love the photography. I don't necessarily love running a photography business.
Okay, hold on. Pause. I think that's a really huge indicator. One of the things, folks, that I try to do on this show is listen really closely to you all. And in this case, Brandi just gave herself her own answer. All right, now, Brandi.
Yes, sir.
You just said you love photography, but you don't like the photography business. Very different statement than what you said about the bookkeeping business. You like the bookkeeping and you like the bookkeeping business. And yet the very thing that's making you feel some uncertainty and question whether or not the bookkeeping business is a passion that you could get paid for is this idea of, well, but I'm also creative. I'm not just a bookkeeper. And you're just letting this thing just bounce around in your head. And what you need to understand is you could crush it as a professional bookkeeper and be an amateur photographer and not have to have a business. Maybe you just, every once in a while, you shoot a Christmas photo or two for a family, or a beach photo, or an anniversary photo, or whatever, but it's not your full-time business, so therefore it doesn't have all of those things that you don't like attached to the creative output, which is just simply photography. So if I put it to you that way, how does that feel?
That feels much better, and it's actually the avenue that I've kind of taken. So
Great.
I'm not really running the photography business anymore. I'm
Great.
Focused a little bit more on just trying to shoot for myself and learn a little bit more of kind of what I enjoy shooting.
See, I like that even more. I like that even more.
Paid for it.
Okay, then listen.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, Brandi, but I want you to stop thinking and I want you to start feeling. How's that? You get what I'm saying? You're overthinking this. You've nailed this. You're awesome. I'm just a sounding board on this call. You're doing everything right. You just need to continue to build this bookkeeping business, and then keep shooting pictures whenever you get the chance, just to keep that creative muscle growing. And over time, I love what you said. I want to just keep taking pictures to figure out what it is I most want to capture. And I think over time, maybe that is a little side thing, but it's never a big thing because you don't want to run that business. Or maybe it's just pure hobby.
Right.
And who says you can't inspire people on Instagram and never charge a thing for your photos? But does that not keep that creativity and all that going? And it's the creative outlet you need while you're out there helping people crunch numbers. So every once in a while when your eyeballs start screaming, get me out of the spreadsheet, you go, oh, great. Okay. I'm going to go get my camera and shoot something beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's the play for you.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Brandi,
Can
you're
I
awesome.
ask one follow-up question about on the bookkeeping business?
Sure.
So currently I work part-time. I'm employed part-time doing books for a small local company. Do you have any suggestions on how I would approach the conversation with my current employer about outsourcing those bookkeeping needs to my company, to the business, instead of keeping me on as an employee?
What kind of relationship do you have with them right now?
I have a great relationship. They trust me. I know the software system that we use. It's an oil and gas company.
All right. So we got to be quick because I got to get to some other callers. So here's the answer to your question. The way you do it is, since you have a great relationship with them, you just deal with them the way that you always have, very open and honest, because there's an existing really good relationship, and you've got to make the business case to them. So this is simply about vision casting. This is you have to explain to them why it's better for them to outsource what you already do for them. You just have to show them. And what's it going to boil down to? You know the case to be made. It's going to end up, it needs to save them money. And they still have control. So you have to think this. I don't know how to break down what you do for them, but you do. And so it's very simple. I'm proposing that you continue to use my services, but instead of an in-house employee, I'm an outsourced contractor, and you run it through my company. And here's why. And just make the case, see what they say. But it's got to be a win for them. It can't just be a win for you and a break even for them. Because I think they go, so it's got to be a win-win for them. And I think that's the challenge. You solve that in the pitch, then I think you got a good chance. 844-747-2577. We'll go to Rob, who joins us in Swedesboro, New Jersey. Rob, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can I help?
All right. So here it is. I was a communications major in college and then had a few jobs bounced around just to pay the bills until I landed in a Catholic high school, my alma mater, actually, as a high school English teacher. And I've now been doing it. I'm finishing up my 9th year. Mm-hmm. But what's happening is I'm not enjoying the classroom aspect of it as much. But when I think about staying in education, I see myself in more of an advising, counseling role. I love talking to the kids about their personal lives and helping them where I can. But right now I have 3 kids. I work at a Catholic school, which means I'm not making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I would need a master's to go forward with that. And I'm feeling very trapped right now. And I'm not sure if there's an avenue for me in the education field, or if I should go back to that communications major because I do podcasting and things like that. And I'm very confused about the whole situation.
Yeah, well, let's go back to clarity. And the clarity I heard in this phone call so far is you absolutely love one-on-one counseling, guiding students. That's what I heard. That was super clear. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you're clear about that. What you're unclear about is how do I get there and make the kind of money I need to make to take care of my family. That's the only thing you're unclear about. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
Okay. So let's focus on that, because that's all fear and doubt. And fear and doubt are liars. Yes or no, Rob?
They are.
All right. So let's expose the lie. All right. So fear is saying what? What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of, how much it's going to cost to get that master's.
Okay, great. What are you doubting?
I doubt that I have the ability to do it.
Okay, let's do it. I love it. Now we put them on the old witness stand. So fear, I won't be able to afford it. All right. Before we get into being able to afford it, let's look at, is there a way for you to step into this that doesn't require a master's degree? I'm not sure, but I'm curious. Could you be a guidance counselor in the public school system, if not the Catholic school system or private school? Could you be a guidance counselor without the master's degree?
Unfortunately, the prerequisite is having that master's degree in counseling.
Okay, so the answer is no.
Yes.
All right. How much would it cost you? Have you done the research into how much it would cost you to part-time cash flow your way online, get that master's degree? Any idea?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere between 15 and 20,000.
Okay. So you make how much right now as a high school teacher?
I'm making about 39,000 a year right now.
Okay. Does your wife work?
Yes.
Okay. How much? So what's your combined income?
We're combining from her. She's a nurse practitioner, so she does fairly well.
What's your combined income?
And we're about, I'd say 160, 165.
Okay, there's two issues there. Number one, you don't even know. You probably should know, which means I don't know if I don't know why you don't know that. That ought to be something that's just like knowing your birth date.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any debt? How in control of your budget are you?
Well, yeah. See, we do have some debt. My wife's got a couple student loans.
Okay.
Which we refinanced a couple years ago, so we only have a couple years left on them.
Okay.
Paying for childcare, car payments. We do have and we have a big credit card debt, which we've actually been listening with you and some of the other people in your network on how we can start really getting that stuff down.
Okay.
Which is kind of why I feel like I'm trapped, because I know we have to get that debt down, but I know I really need this master's to take this next step, and
right.
I don't know if it's something that I just have to wait or not.
Well, you do have to wait. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
But now let me tell you, when there's a reason in the waiting and there's a goal, and so we're not just sitting on our couch eating bonbons, we're getting after this debt. And so as a Catholic school teacher, you're going to go get a second job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, you're going to do it, Rob, because if you want to get where you have said you want to go, then this comes down to, are you willing to do what it takes and wait as long as it takes? The do what it takes is the extra job to fast forward the debt elimination. The doing what it takes is selling the cars. If you've got some equity in those cars and you drive cash cars and you immediately eliminate some debt. I mean, right out of the gate. You're selling whatever you can sell. You're tightening the belt. And what you're doing in being a little uncomfortable there is you are positioning yourself to do the very thing that you know you're supposed to do, and you're positioning yourself that way financially because maybe 2 years from now you guys are debt free if you get after it. Mm-hmm. And then you can start saving the money to cash flow your way. 15 to 20 grand's not that much with your combined income. And if you got to work 3 or 4 years working a side job, making an extra $2,500 a month or whatever it is, get after it, Rob, because I'm going to tell you something, brother. It's right there in front of you. You're not trapped. And I'm not getting on you. I'm trying to fire you up right now because, Rob, you think you're trapped. Rob, I got good news for you. You, sir, are not trapped. You've got double income. You can go make more money right now, and you can pay that debt off. You can sell those cars and drive a cash car. You could do all those things and get debt free and then save up the money and cash flow your way through the masters and then get the counseling job and wake up on Monday morning feeling the juice, because not only are you doing what you were created to do, Rob, guess what? You're debt free. You're living like no one else. And when the next coronavirus crisis comes along, you go, it's not a crisis, man. Just give me my toilet paper and my Netflix and I'm going to make it.
That's right. Absolutely. No, that's great. That's
now, Rob,
great advice. Yep.
Here's the deal. Today's your day. All right. I'm going to do two things for you. All right.
Okay.
Number one, I'm going to give you a copy of, because you said you've been listening to the Ramsey Network or some of the other personalities, my colleagues. I'm going to give you the Boss Man's book. It's sold 6 million copies, Total Money Makeover. It is Dave Ramsey's baby steps. He's going to walk you through it. I want you to hold on the line. Madison's going to give you a copy of Dave's Total Money Makeover. Start reading it and doing it tonight, or whenever you get the book, I guess. That's not fair. But make a plan tonight. I'm fired up for Rob. Now, give him the book, Madison, and then give him my best-selling book, The Proximity Principle, because that's going to help him make the connections he needs to make while he's getting out of debt. And then once he gets out of debt, he starts the process of getting qualified. And while he's getting qualified, he can get connected. So he's already clear. Stage 1 of the path to the dream is getting clear. Stage 2, get qualified. Stage 3, get connected. I'm glad you called, Rob. Take my free stuff. Get after it. You are not trapped at all. All right, let's go to the chat room. Here we go. I'm fired up. Have we had this one before? Natalie Junior Mint. Okay. Fantastic name. We got to have a little bit of fun before we go to Natalie Junior Mint. All right, so here we go. If you were going to have a screen name, Joe and Madison, and then your last name had to be a candy, so it's Natalie Junior Mint, what would it be, Joe? Joe?
Oh, that's easy. Reese's.
Joe Reese's.
Yeah.
All right, Nathan, what's yours?
Snickers.
Nathan Snickers. All right, and Madison's talking to somebody.
Yes.
Would you please fill her in? And then after I answer Natalie's question, I want to get back to that.
Will do.
But you know what mine would be?
What's that?
Ken Whoppers. I love me some Whoppers, man.
It's a Milky Way.
Love the Whoppers. The big carton of Whoppers. Okay, there she is. She's off the call. So we're getting ready to go to the chat room. And Natalie Junior Mint this is the second time she's popped up in the chat room.
Okay.
And so I love her screen name, Natalie Junior Mint. And so I just made everybody go through, and if your online name was Madison blank candy.
So it's your favorite candy?
Yeah, so Joe was Joe Reese's, and
Ooh,
Nathan was
strong.
Nathan Snickers, and
Okay.
I'm Ken Whoppers because I love Whoppers. What would be your screen name with your favorite candy? Madison?
Well, this isn't really a candy. It's a cookie, but Oreos.
Okay.
That counts? Does that count?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we can't make up rules when we've never done it before.
Right,
So we'll go
fair.
with
It's a junk food.
We'll go with Madison Oreos. That's your screen name. All right, I love it. Okay, Natalie writes in, Ken, can you suggest some at-home jobs that are hiring right now? I don't have a degree. Graduated high school 2 years ago. Some at-home jobs right now. Well, this would be online customer service. You got some companies that are booming right now, and they need teleworkers, people that are in a call center, except they're doing it from home. So I would be looking at those opportunities. Even though you graduated high school a couple years ago, if you're just good with people, I would be looking at maybe some administrative type work that can be done, maybe some research type work. But things that are just at home, I would search that. I remember seeing some stuff online about this, but it's going to come down to, it's in that customer care phone type computer work. So be looking for that. You can actually type that in, and that won't be hard to find. But that's, if you're stuck in the home, it's going to come down to that because you don't have a lot of work experience. So mainly in the customer service side of things, that's where you need to be looking. Breatho Fire. I hope I say that right. My wife is a dental hygienist and loves what she's doing, but is not happy at her current office. What words of encouragement can I provide her to help her look into a new employer? Yeah, I love this. You just need to tell your wife you love what you do, not where you're doing it. In our Should I Quit My Job quiz at kencoleman.com, this is one of the 4 reports that people take this. It's a 2-minute, 20 question, super easy. And one of the reports is your wife. And the way we say it is she's doing the right thing in the wrong place. So we know she loves dental hygienist work. She just wants to be in a good culture. So what I would do to encourage her is say, hey, let's be grateful that you have a job. Let's be grateful that you have a job doing what you love. Woohoo! Let's be grateful. Really hard to be hateful when you're grateful. And so let's start with gratitude. All right, let's get her in that place. And here's the other good news. Sweetheart, this is just a function of you asking around, being discreet about this, but doing your homework and find a dentist office that's got a great culture. And you've got the qualifications. And so be patient and let's be grateful, which will allow us to stay patient and keep making an income. And let's find another dentist office with a great culture. And so that's how you encourage right there. That's how you encourage. Larry Randall just popped in. I want to thank you for taking my call a couple weeks ago. What I thought was my dream job in IT is not. I prayed about it, and we dreamed that I could build furniture. Well, great, Larry. Now, here's the deal. That's a side hustle right now. Unless you got a bunch of people lined up at your house ready to buy your handmade furniture, that's going to take some time, but I love that you got the clarity on that. And so let's just start building furniture. Don't go crazy. Don't go buy a ton of machinery. Don't buy a bunch of wood. Don't go build and have all this inventory. start wading into this. Show your work a little bit. Use social media. So we get people to buy some custom furniture and they start talking about it. This is a slow build, Larry. No pun intended, but you can do this. Appreciate it. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. Okay. So I was talking with a friend last night and I was giving them some advice. And my friend was trying to make a decision, and there were a lot of factors. And he felt confused, but I knew he wasn't confused. I knew that he was having a hard time with all of the different factors that would lead into him making a decision. And it wasn't a crisis situation, not high pressure, but a lot of different factors. In fact, I get this call a lot. Ken, it's hard for me to tell you what my passion is because I like so many things. And you're still thinking that passion is one thing. It's not. The way I define passion in the context of the show is work that you love to do. It's a task, a function, a role that you fill in the marketplace that has high emotion and high devotion. Okay. So that's how I define it. So anyway, my friend's going through all these things and he said, hey man, I need a sounding board and I just need you to help me through this. So I listened for a while. And I said, all right, let me give you 3 questions and I'm going to walk you through these 3 questions on the phone. But I want you to have these questions because when you wrestle with these and process these questions over the days and weeks ahead, I think it's going to help you get to a very firm, confident decision. And here they are. This is how to decide whether it's the work you love the most, the results that you love the most. In my indicators, my 3 indicators, what do you do best? What do you love to do most? Results that matter most. Or you've just got a parenting decision, relationship decision. I have found this has been really important for me and I want to share it. 3 questions. And they're clarifying questions and they get your brain working on your behalf. Your brain's a supercomputer. So let it work for you. Here are the 3 questions. Number 1, what could be? What could be? This is possibility thinking here. So this question is just helping you organize all of the possibilities. What could be? What could be? Second question, what should be? Now this goes from possibilities. So that first question, what could be, helps you identify the possibilities, the outcomes, the options. The second question, what should be, now allows your brain to kind of look at that list you've created from the first question, the possibilities, the options, and it allows you to now go, okay, now I want to get into, this is what I believe. So this isn't just, that's interesting. This isn't informative. This is now, okay, these are the options I'm most excited about, or these are what I believe are the best options or the wisest options. So that's what that second question, what should be? Okay, lots of outcomes, but now I'm going to narrow all these outcomes down to the outcome is in one of these outcomes. This is what I know. So now I believe this is where I need to be thinking, focusing, going, acting. Okay, that leads to the third question. What must be? Now this is next level up. Next level up. This is conviction. We had a caller earlier on the show, and she said, convinced. I'm convinced. It was Brandi. She said, I'm convinced. See, that's conviction. See, that's must be. She has gotten to the point where when Brandi was sharing her story with us, she's like, Ken, I'm convinced I'm supposed to be doing a bookkeeping business for myself. See, she got to a point where she said, okay, what could be? What could be some businesses that I could do? I love this. I'm using Brandi's example. Oh, this is fun. Brandi said, well, at some point she walked through all the things that maybe she could do as an entrepreneur. So she was in the what could be. And so she began to say, well, this, I could be a photographer, I could be a bookkeeper, and maybe she had 3 or 4 other options. Then at some point, her brain, whether she meant or not, went to the what should be. This is where she goes, I have a lot of confidence. I believe that the bookkeeping option is better than the photography option. That's where she got to. And then the third question is, what must be? And that's where you get to the point where you go, yeah, there's a lot of good options that should be. These are all good things. But this is the thing. See, that's where the what should be question 2 helps you get to the what must be. This is about the thing. And so I love that construct. It allows your brain, again, to do its natural analyzing and deduction for you. So use that construct, those 3 questions, in any area of your life. You're struggling to make a decision, start with what could be, what should be, what must be. And we always want to act, decide, commit, and focus on the what must be. Oh, that's good, Joe. That's really, really good. By the way, update. On the monitor here, Nathan has decided that instead of Ken Whoppers, if you've been watching the show, my screen name should be Ken Kit Kat. I don't know. It does sound good. It's got the alliteration. The team knows that I love alliteration. I'm obsessed with alliteration, and there's a reason for that. A little bonus content before we go. Why do I like to use alliteration? Why does anybody who is a public communicator like alliteration? It's easier for you to remember. Proximity principle. It is also because I'm a preacher's kid. And when you grow up sitting under that and your whole life, all you've ever heard is 3 points in alliteration. And by the way, another great A word that is good is assonance. Now, what is it? I know, now I'm nerding out, but this is bonus content. This is great. Listen, folks, you want to be a better communicator. So here's the deal. Before Madison rolls her eyes too hard at me, this is bonus teaching for those of you who want to be a content creator and you want to deliver content. Zoom in here. This is great. Assonance is not alliteration. Alliteration is Ken Kit Kat or proximity principle. So the first letter of the word has the same sound. Assonance, it's not that exact thing. It's just they have the same sound to them. So abilities and qualities. So when I talk to you about what you do best, I say abilities and qualities. That's assonance. Okay. And so you're always looking for words that either have the same p, or the k. That's alliteration. And then assonance, they sound alike. And here's the deal. When you deliver content that way, whether in the spoken word or the written word, people remember it better. So there you go. I did that just to make Madison's eyes roll. But 2 words you don't hear every day on YouTube, alliteration and assonance, but look it up. Yeah, I know. I hear you. Well, Joe, I got to get out of here. I'm going to do some more literary and grammar teaching to Joe and Madison and Nathan after we're out of here. Hey, before I go, you matter. You do have what it takes. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.